This is a key thing to say. No one taught us how we became the way we are. No one taught us how we run our own mind. No one taught us how we create feelings in our body. No one ever taught us about ourselves when we were growing up. When I coach people on this, I always get them to take this personality typology test.
When people are filling in these tests, I've very much been in that thing of, almost answering based on what people would want me to say.
Well, that's your personality type. It's never about anyone else. It always comes back to our own relationship with ourselves. But what we do as human beings, we often read behaviours and make assumptions based on, the way someone is. What we don't do, so anything that triggers in us, anything that pisses us off, it's us. So we're seeing it out there. The bigger the trigger, the more there's an indicator that this is about us and not about them. And people think I'm crazy when I say this. And this is the interesting part as you say that as well. When you're feeling that emotion about something, good or bad, ask yourself.
Hi, Anita. Back again. You're one of my favourite guests to get on the show because we always get some fantastic insights from you. And I do just love chatting to you. I think we've been talking for about an hour before we've actually finally pushed record. But
we should have recorded that.
I know. But we're going to be talking about personality types and particularly the Enneagram sort of personality types. So give me some context to that then. What do people need to understand?
So the Enneagram is a personality typology system. It's one that isn't as well known necessarily as some of the others. Myers-Briggs,
yeah.
There's quite a few out there that are more well known. Human design, have you heard of that?
No.
That seems to be quite popular as well at the moment, but
okay.
We won't talk about that one. But yeah, they seem to be ones that I hear more of out there. The Enneagram is basically, it works on 9 different personality types. And what it does is it assumes that we come into this world without any sort of personality, in theory, that we come out as quite a blank canvas.
Okay.
And it assumes that within the first sort of 7 years of our lives, we start to form a personality type based on the experiences that we have growing up. And the environment we grow up in. And I think that some of the personality typologies out there don't necessarily go that deep on it. So this is one where it really does go into quite a lot of depth of our childhood and our psychology. And there are, I just want to say as well, because some people might be watching this, there are some schools of thought around this that do say that we do come into the world already with our predetermined type. So it's not as straightforward as that. But what I do is when I work with clients on this, when I coach people on this, I always get them to take this personality typology test. And what I do with them is I basically will take whatever they've got. So if people have past life memories, if they have pre-birth memories, then I'm more than happy, to go down that route. But most people, there's been a couple of those that might, bring some of that sort of stuff up. But most people I work with, we're working on memories from our first few years of our lives. And so basically the typology system works as you take the test and you get thrown out a number of results. The one I like to do gives you a pie chart result. And it shows you basically the percentage that you do of each personality type.
Yeah.
And pretty much most people, I don't think I've ever seen anyone that doesn't, will have a higher percentage of one of the particular types. And then they will have less of the others.
Yeah.
And there might be, the first 3 might be particularly high and the others may be a bit less, and everyone's chart is different, and so the types are, so I'll go through them, and then people can kind of sometimes get a bit of a sense of, that might be me based on just
hearing it.
Just hearing it.
Yeah.
So there's 9 different types. They're typed. The type 1 is the perfectionist reformer. Type 2 is the helper, type 3 is the achiever, 4 is the individualist, 5 the investigator, 6 the loyalist, 7 the enthusiast, 8 the challenger, and 9 the peacemaker. And so within those, you take the test and the results come out as whichever one you've typed the highest in. And so what can happen as well, and this did happen when I first took the test, is that you may mistype. Yeah. So as we're answering the questions, we are often answering questions about ourselves from our blind spots. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can only see what we can see about ourselves. And this is what I always say. It's like no one ever taught us about ourselves when we were growing up.
No.
We go to school, we learn maths, we learn English, we learn that.
Yeah.
Like, this is the bit that I always just blows my mind now that I know all this stuff. No one taught us how we became the way we are. No one taught us how we run our own mind. No one taught us how we create feelings in our body. Yeah. So when we're answering tests like this, unless we've done, substantial work on ourselves, we actually can be quite blind to ourselves.
Yeah. But also blind to other people, because I've certainly had that discovering that, I couldn't really understand it, why people didn't think like me, and in fact, often I just assumed everyone did. And that's, so there was discovery of how I think and my personality, but then I was like, oh, actually, they're different.
Yeah.
And you suddenly realise that.
Yeah. It's a really good point, isn't it? We just think that they should think like we think.
Yeah.
And this is the interesting part, as you say that as well. We think that they should, but we miss that we don't actually understand ourselves. Because once you start really getting into this work, you start thinking about your thinking and watching your thinking, and then you start to learn even more about yourself of what you are missing. So it's kind of like we kind of think, why don't they think like me? But we only are assuming that they don't think like us based on what we're aware of. In fact, we could actually be thinking like them in our moments where we're oblivious to our thinking. If that makes sense. So, yeah.
And do you think, just going back to when people are filling in these tests, I've very much been in that thing of almost answering based on what people would want me to say. And accepting, because we learn that from school, don't we?
Well, that's your personality type.
Oh, God.
I'm going to give you another one, actually, to read a little bit more about that.
Okay,
as well.
because you sort of think that's what people expect of me.
Yeah.
And I know we all do it slightly, as in we will act slightly differently depending on the situation we're in. We joke about people with like the telephone voice, and then suddenly actually their real voice comes out. And there's always going to be cases where how I behave in a business meeting will be different to watching the football with the lads. Or obviously because the situation is different, but I'm still the same person. But then do we try and adjust our personality?
Some people do, right? So we can look at this as in like a type, like say the peacemaker type, the type 9. They don't really have a clue who they are because they're constantly, doing what they need to do to keep the peace.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot that comes up in your personality type, of that 9, right? Because even though, just to say, Matt, you took the test, and the highest score was the 3, the achiever, closely followed by the 7, which is the enthusiast. But there is a lot of type 9. I actually should go back and have a look at how much 9 you scored. There's a lot of peacemaker within you as well. But the 3's also the achiever, the 3 that you came out with. They are called the chameleon.
Okay.
So they will mould themselves in situations to suit, whoever they're with in order to be liked. Yeah. In order to feel worthy. Yeah. So there's the potential of that. As that plays
out. And I guess, in a business sense, whenever I'd go into a meeting with someone, I'd want to be liked. Yeah. I'd want to feel that connection so that we'd be able to do business together and earn money and things like that. So there's a little bit of that. Yeah. But yes, there is equally, and I know I've got it, even on a personal level, wanting people to like me.
Yeah. And to keep the peace, right?
And to keep the peace.
Yeah. And I think that's the interesting thing. This is the really key part about my work, and when as a coach I use the Enneagram. And I'm not perfect at this, but it's to make sure that when I'm working with someone I'm always asking their intention for their behaviours rather than just assuming it. So it's like you just said there, part of it is that, you want to, be liked or whatever, you want that. But part of it is the business side as well. Yeah. So without that could make the difference between, say, a type 3 and maybe a personality type 9, right? Yeah. So it's all about intention of behaviours. But what we do as human beings, we often read behaviours and make assumptions based on, the way someone is. What we don't do, which is like the skill of being a coach more, is ask why that person is doing what they're doing. And once we can start to hear their intentions more, then it gives us more of an idea about the personality type. So don't read the behaviours, listen for intention. that's the key to kind of the whole personality typing side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's interesting is you were saying about this concept of some people feel that you were born with some sort of personality and some you develop it. And I guess you develop it from experiences. What's quite interesting is I have seen almost like twins born and they end up with different personalities, although they've grown up sort of with the same situation. Is it because we interpret stuff differently or is it that actually parents do treat people differently?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? And I don't have, any definitive answer to it. But what I tend to find is it's very rare for someone to go, my twins are the same or my kids are the same.
Yeah.
I just don't hear that.
No.
People go, they're so different. And it's like, yeah, they're always so different. When do we ever really say that siblings are really alike or personality? That people usually go, they're so different as if they should be alike because they've grown up in the same environment. They've got the same parents. The way that I see this is especially when I'm doing this sort of work and I get a whole family together and you can see the different personality types. For me, I wonder whether there's a part of it, a big part where we're trying to find our place in our family unit. So it's like we come into the world, we see that sister is a complete pain in the arse. What am I going to do that's different to that to find my place? I'm going to be the people pleaser.
Yeah.
So they're getting attention, they're getting love, maybe not in the healthiest way, but they're doing it through being a pain in the arse. They're a disruptive child, but it's getting them seen. The next child comes into the world and goes, I don't want any of that. I'm going to be the extreme of that potentially. And that's how maybe the people pleaser is formed within that. Even though they're the child that's favoured, well, they feed off the favouring. They feed off not being the disruptive one. And then that gives them the love. So they're just there stroking their mum's face, making sure everything's okay.
And I see that a lot of the time the other way round. I've got two and a lot of people say the second child is like brutal. And it's maybe the first child has learnt that loving, caring way of getting attention. The second child comes along and is like, well, but I need to do the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why they're...
Yeah, and it can be either way, right? Yeah, as you say, you've seen it that way. I've seen it both ways.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to think it's that way because I'm the second child. But there's so much that we don't know about this. Potentially souls are transcending into bodies already with a predetermined personality type. There's all sorts of ways we can go with this, right? I'm kind of sort of sticking to what the Enneagram says, but we just don't know. I watched a podcast a little while ago and it was all around this woman who was, she was working as a nurse in, with babies, premature babies, in incubators.
Yes,
kids. And something happened to her. I think she had this near-death experience. And then when she came back to work, she realised that she was able to communicate with these babies in the incubators. Yeah, it was a pretty mad podcast.
Yeah.
And anyway, so basically what she found out was twins were born and one of the twins died. And what happened was the twin that died telepathically told her that the only reason that they'd come into this world was to bring the other sibling, the other twin into the world, and their job was done. So they left. So that baby died and it left. So you hear all these stories and it's like, who knows what is going on?
Yeah.
Well, some people will know that are watching this probably, that have got telepathy, past life stuff going on. But it's like we a lot of this, we've got no idea we don't know who we are. We literally don't, There's so much more that could be happening that we've just got no idea about. So for me, I used to probably rule stuff out so much more, but now I'm so open to any of the possibilities of any of this stuff because it's just, the more that time is going on, the more, availability we have to hearing these stories of, remembering past lives and near-death experiences and what happens when people die. So, yeah, it kind of gets quite tricky in this work because when you're kind of learning this, it's like, this is the set rules, this is how it should be, this is how it is. And then you start to learn all of this other stuff and it goes, you've got to try and still stick to a bit of a lane.
You've got to follow that, but equally understand that actually there's a lot of stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
And we might know it in the future, but at this present time, you can only work with what we know. And like you say, there needs to be some sort of structure to it.
Exactly. So I always say, it's always hold it lightly. Hold it all lightly, just use it to to learn about yourself, to bring awareness to yourself, but also hold it lightly and know it's a meaning-making structure that hopefully is going to help you, feel better in your life. But I mean, when we were chatting, we were talking about personalities and things like that. And what I've picked up on nearly all of our conversations, if I've said something and you've almost like pulled me up on it and been like, well, actually, it's not about that. I've said I'm doing this because of this, and you're like, no, and quite often it's like, no, because of you. It's not the other person, and that's because, again, you said lots of us don't really understand our personality, but equally on a broader level, just don't really understand ourselves. Yeah. We don't know what's going on and why we do certain things. Yeah. And we're just naive to it. We're so naive to it.
And then we do. Is that why we then, like you say, we were talking about a situation and I was like, oh, was it that person or that person? It was like, no, it was you. I was like, what? But is that why we end up blaming other people or just getting caught up in that life?
Because no one ever taught us any differently. And it's like that thing that I was saying. It's like, it's never about anyone else. It's never about anyone else. These arguments we're having, these people that we love or these people that we hate, whatever's happening, it always comes back to our own relationship with ourselves. And it's like, but no one has ever taught us that. We're never taught to have a relationship with ourselves. So it's like all that we know as we look out into the world is human connection. You should be making me feel like this. This is what you've done to me. And this can sound, quite, big for people if they're hearing this for the first time. But once you really start to understand this and we start to understand ourselves through things like the Enneagram, the personality typing system, you start to realise that it's only ever us that can actually make ourselves feel happy, make ourselves feel upset. We're choosing it at a very subtle level. But again, no one ever taught us how to identify with that choice point. And what we are taught is we're taught to blame. We're taught to be we're taught to be under responsible. And this is why we're in the state that we're in with, world wars, because it's a blame thing. Yeah. What you're doing to me and what you're doing, there's a victim, there's a bully, you're attacking, the attack defending that's constantly happening. Yeah. What happens day to day with us as we get annoyed on the road or whatever is, wars manifest from those little things. And we think we're so separate to that. But it's actually a manifestation of our own misunderstanding of ourselves. Are there personalities that work better with other personalities, or do some clash? I've heard of this before with relationships of finding different people, and some two people just won't work because just the way the person. Does that fit into this system as well? It does, and there's definitely when you read about this, it definitely tells you more about which types typically kind of get together more and like each other more. So, for example, type 3s, which is the personality type that you came out as, achievers like other achievers. Yeah, they like to be, they like to be powerful together, and they're a very common coupling. Yeah. Type 4s, which is the individualists, they're the ones that feel quite different and quite misunderstood. So they can often come together in their couplings. Most other of the other 1 to 9 types don't tend to gravitate. It's rare that they gravitate towards each other as much, and they're similar typology. They will tend to find kind of one of the other types. But I think what it really comes out, like you look at like a type 2, which is a helper. So basically the helpers need people to feel valuable in their life, to belong. So type 2s, if they're on their own with no one to help, it's like death. Yeah. It's like, what's the point of me, even being here if I've got no one to be over responsible for? Yeah. They need to belong, so it's all about people. So type 2s can date anyone, any of the types, probably not themselves as much because they don't need another helper. They're probably going to clash more over who needs to help who more. Yeah. So 2s will go with anyone that they can help. So they're open to all types. Type 9s are peacemakers. Peacemakers, again, they're very easy to be with. So all types want to date a peacemaker. It's rare to get, I think I heard someone talk about two peacemakers together as a couple, which I found quite weird. That was a weird coupling that I hadn't really heard of. That was a recent thing. I was like, I wonder, I'd like to meet them and see how that works. But because they like to keep the peace, they're very easy to be around.
Yeah.
So most, people, most types would like that. Some types may find it being boring as well, being with a peacemaker, because they are so laid back and they might want a bit more. But they find it quite easy to be together. But the way that I see it, when you really get down to it, the healthier we are in our psychology, we will be able to date anyone.
Okay.
The more unhealthy we are psychologically, the more under stress we are, it's going to be hard to date anyone. So as much as it's nice to kind of go, it's like when we talk about star signs, it's like we can talk about Enneagram types like we talk about star signs. It's like, this person, these star signs go together and these don't. It's like, get the two people together. Don't worry about their astrology, because they ain't living by their astrology.
No.
We're too consumed by our thinking mind to be tapped into the astrology. So it actually doesn't matter. It's like, get the personality stuff under wraps first. Get healthier in your mentality. And then it doesn't matter what star sign you are or what Enneagram type you are. If we're under stress and we're not that great, relationships are going to be harder. And they are. I mean, we look out into the world and we see, what's happening in the world. And that's, it's a good example of that, of how understood of ourselves we are in theory. So.
Yeah, I guess a lot of it is, I mean, there's two bits I've picked up on there. One first of all, you're saying about helpers, and actually I've known people who almost end up in lots of relationships and they always end up with someone who needs some help.
Definitely.
And I think does the helper feel like my job is to save this person and help them? And I sort of think, why are you going with another person who's like that?
But that's why
they feel like they're doing some good work.
And this is a key thing to say. So this is going back to the childhood stuff. So we might say how is a helper being formed? So each of the personality types, we can actually go through this now, is basically how we're formed. Let's say there's a generalized story for each of the personality types.
Okay.
So, for example, a type 2, how does a 2 become a 2? How does a helper become a helper? And a typical story could be that a child comes into the world and they grow up in a family environment where, say, a parent may have a disability or a parent may be an alcoholic or something, where the parent isn't able to parent.
Yeah. And
so what the child does is they learn to be self-responsible. They learn to help. They learn to help the adults. Their role then becomes to be an adult very quickly.
Yeah.
They may have lots of siblings, for example, and they're helping out with the kids, right? And so what happens is they don't learn to develop their own needs because they've come straight into the world needing to be there. So of course that's programmed into them. So as they go through their lives, that's their identity, because that's all that they've known and that's all that they've learned. So they put themselves into it, and people go, why are you in that? Why are you doing that? And they're like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Why do I keep doing this? I need to be my own person. And it's like, well, unless we're resolving that stuff and understanding it, we're going to carry on in that comfort zone, even though we may be getting resentful of it. And that's what can happen for 2s, for helpers, is they become resentful, but they also don't let anyone do anything for them because it's so unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And then they're doing everything for everyone else, which they kind of like, but at some point they're getting annoyed with it. And it's, so that's kind of the conflict that happens within them. And then they'll end up dating, it can be the type 2s can be like the empaths.
Yeah.
And then they end up with the narcissists, and you go, why are these two? There's a narcissist, they're using you. And it's like, and I'm using them as well.
Yeah, because I need them. I need someone to help.
Me. Yeah. And this is the sad thing about it, right? It's like we're always there going, they're the victim, the 2s are the victim or whatever, they're getting bullied or whatever, but they're assuming their roles. That's all they've ever known, and now they're coming together in the roles. Not that it's the healthiest, but it's kind of all that they've ever known, and they assume their roles in relationship just as they grew up, just as they knew growing up. So
just understand this about yourself.
Yeah.
Mean that actually you can have better relationships. You're just a better human all round in life, because I guess you're understanding your decisions and your behaviours. Yeah.
You get to see why you do what you do, and then what happens as a result of that, you then have choice. So now that I can see that I'm a helper because of everything that happened growing up, then I I've got a choice now to go, do I want to carry on in my programming?
Yeah.
Or do I want to maybe change? And that's where kind of the choice comes on. And, you know, people go, well, just because I can see it doesn't mean I can change it. It's like, well, it's not going to suddenly just change overnight.
No.
But it takes practice. Like, we've practiced our way into becoming the helper from birth, you know, from a really young age. It's now time to practice, you know, something different. And this is a key one for those sorts of personality types. It's kind of going, but what's the cost, right? If I stop doing all of this stuff, which is in theory healthier for me, they're not going to like me as much. Because the reason that people like me is because I do shit for them.
Yeah.
If I stop doing that, I'm not going to have as many friends. I'm not going to be seen as that nice person that does everything. That's my whole identity. So there's a real practice here that I, you know, as I go through this kind of work with clients of, you know, it's baby steps, but it's like, go away from this session and practice saying no to someone that you would usually always say yes to. Even on the inside, you're thinking, I can't do this today, but I'm still going to say yes because it's more important for me to still feel like I belong. And they'll go and they'll be like, oh God, that's just, you know, and then they'll go away and they'll start to practice the no's. And usually they come back and say that was actually very empowering, even though it was really scary to do. And, you know, if it's someone close enough to you, you start having conversations. I'm doing some work on myself. I've realised some stuff about myself. I am changing. Not everyone is going to like it, but it's just an adjustment period for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then it's like, once you can get through that, then people get used to the new way of being. But it's change, so it is hard. You know, it's a tough one.
And people do seem to be more open about understanding themselves now. I certainly see it now much more than 20, 30 years ago when no one really knew and we just assumed either that's the way people were or we'd almost blame people for their behaviours. Yeah. And I'm not saying that, you know, you shouldn't take accountability or you shouldn't hold people to account. Equally, a little bit of understanding as to why people do things.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, understanding why you do it so that you can make better decisions, healthier decisions. Yeah.
It's definitely, I mean, it's come along so much. It's changed a lot. And there's still a lot more there's a long way still to go in terms of the compassion piece for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll still see people's behaviours and judge what they're doing. But I definitely see people kind of maybe taking a step back now and going, oh, maybe it's because of this and maybe we can now... you know, it's kind of like rationalise it in a way and see that maybe you hear it much more in people's language now going, maybe it is because, you know, they've had this experience or their upbringing growing up. Me and my sister were actually talking about this earlier on today and we were talking about, you know, the world wars and things like that. And, you know, people will tend to go to, it's all about land and money and power. That's the only reason we have world wars. Yeah. Whereas the more that I was starting to do this work, I was like, oh, it just looks to me like there's someone that really needs to be seen in the world or needs to be heard. And the more of this work that I did, I started to, you know, seeing the 9 personality types, the world leaders fall into those 9 personality types, just the same as, you know, all of us do. And it's kind of going, well, they look like their potential personality type is probably, let's say, that one. And so what was happening for them in childhood, potentially, where they weren't seen, they weren't heard? It doesn't need to be as extreme as they were abused by children. You know, some people can go to extremities. But it's literally like, if you're bullied in a playground, you know, and someone, you know, really picks on you, this can typically be, let's say, the type 8, which is the challenger personality type. They are the hard ones, the challengers. They're the ones that are direct. They're the ones that will go and drop bombs. They're the ones that seem like they don't care and they've got no feelings and no emotions. Actually, they're the opposite. They're overly emotional. The anger is an emotion that is usually on behalf of sadness, right, at the core of it. So they've actually got a lot of emotion going on. But because they were, say, bullied in the playground at school, they have now built this hard shell around them to protect themselves that they will never be seen as weak again because it's not safe to be weak. Yeah. So they go to strength. And so what then happens potentially later on in life is because they were bullied, you know, they've taken that message and they've become a world leader and they're dropping bombs, you know, all because of that one incident at school. which can be exactly the same as someone, you know, that totally hates them, you know,
Yeah.
a normal person on the street. And it's like, well, you could have had a similar experience, and they'll be like, no, they're unhinged, they're all the rest of it. And it's like, sure, but it doesn't mean that it's all just about like money and power and they've got no emotion. They actually have.
Yeah.
And the more that we can try and see, you know, try and understand that there'll be some sort of similar stories to normal people. Yeah, it's not manifested in a great way, but the more we can see that, the more potential is that we don't separate ourselves so much from them, the more we can understand. And I know it's not great, but the more we can kind of have compassion for people in their bad behaviours, the more those bad behaved people feel understood, the less badly behaved they will be. And this is the thing, as usual, as we're brought up, we've got to judge them in hope that they're going to get better, because this is all we've done. This is what we do to ourselves, and it doesn't work, right?
No.
And we do it out in the world as well, but we're still dropping bombs however many years later. World wars are not getting resolved, and we're carrying on in the same way, fight with fight, fight with fight. It's like, at some point, are we ever going to sort of start to see that maybe there is a different way? Because this anger on anger, it ain't working. And so if those people could feel, that's what I feel like with a lot of it's like, see me, hear me, I'm misunderstood. I'm not excusing their behaviours in any of this. But if we're looking for resolutions in this, and I think this is what I see a lot, like when I go into corporates, you know, we're going to, you know, coaching leadership teams.
Yep.
And it's those sort of personality types that are leaders, right? Leaders of the world are leaders in corporates, right? In corporations, type 3s, type 8s, challengers, achievers. They're the ones that are the powerhouses that then, you know, might go and become the world leaders or not, and they stay in corporate. But these are the types that we're going, and, you know, they're kind of fighting each other, and there's a lot going on, a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blame going on. And we sit there and we get out these personality types. They can see, oh, I'm actually quite similar to that person that I actually don't like. I'm looking at your score and it's actually the same as mine. There's me thinking that I'm so different from you. And as we sit there and we go through and we talk about what's happening at work, we get into childhood stuff a little bit as well, if they allow it, which they tend to be quite open to now. And once we can get into all that, you see in a whole day or a few hours, the whole of that dynamic change for people. And people think I'm crazy when I say this, but it's like, imagine just sitting down with, you know, some of these people that are causing some real crazy shit in the world. And people are like, you're mad saying that, Anita. And I'm saying, there's nothing to say that something like that, if you can do it with people in a corporate, why couldn't you do it? Have we ever tried it, to actually sit down and discuss, you know, the root cause of all of this stuff? And, you know, people do go, you're mad and you're crazy to say it, but we're not doing anything that's working. So how about trying, you know, something different? And this is, for me, it's just like, this could be so simple. You know, this could be, I know I'm talking, you know, crazy stuff here, but I look at it and I go, you know, this is unresolved traumas that are playing out in the world that are creating millions of deaths. It could be the end of humanity and robots taking over because we've just fucked it so badly and we've not got to a point of doing enough work on ourselves to be able to resolve, you know, these issues. We could just end up just completely taking ourselves out because of our unresolved childhood stuff.
Yeah, because we end up, we can be quite stubborn, can't we?
Yeah.
Based on our own personality. And, you know, and I said that before, I couldn't understand why other people didn't think like me. So, you know, I'd be really stubborn of, no, this is the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
Not understanding that, actually, I don't even know myself, let alone understand why they're doing it.
And I hear it all the time. I'll just listen to people and I'll listen to them in their judgment of the other person, of what this person's doing and what they've done today and all the rest of it. And for me, I can clearly see, as that's coming out of their mouth, I can hear them and I can see their own behaviours where they do exactly what they're judging that other person for.
Yeah.
And that's such a huge part of it. A lot of the time, what we're really triggered by and we're judging what others are doing, it's actually ourselves that we're judging. And we're missing that we're judging ourselves on the same level of story. It may not be exactly the same story, but the same level of stuff that we are doing elsewhere as well. It's like the hypocrisy, right?
Well, I was going to say that because a lot of people get pulled up on that. And actually we see it with a lot of politicians and things all the time. Yeah. They get caught out years later where they've been on you know, saying people shouldn't be doing this, and then it's found out they were doing it.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. We're doing it all the time. on those levels and subtly every day. And this is the key. This is gonna people, this might be quite triggering for people, but this is, if anyone wants to look into this, is called the shadow work, Carl Jung.
Okay.
So anything that triggers in us, anything that pisses us off, it's us. So we're seeing it out there. The bigger the trigger, the more there's an indicator that this is about us and not about them. We don't bother ourselves with stuff that doesn't impact us because it's us. Yeah. So we see someone being really judgmental and we're there and we're going, they're so fucking judgmental. How dare they do that? Blah, blah, blah. In that moment, we are judging them. So we are them. This is what shadow is, right?
Yeah.
This is it playing out in the moment. And we go, well, but I'm not doing it as badly as they're doing it. It's like, it doesn't matter. The scale of it doesn't matter.
You're still doing it.
You're judging.
Yeah.
It's judgment. Disrespect. They're so fucking disrespectful. How dare they push in the traffic? It's like, well, how respectful are you being about them right now? Well, what do you mean? They did it first. It was like, but there's still disrespect, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this kind of work, this is where people that really get this work and are really kind of embodying this, we're talking about 5% of humanity can really get this.
Okay.
If you think, if we could stretch that 5% out to a much wider scale, then we're taking self-responsibility. Ending of world wars, ending of all of our problems, right? But this is work, right? This is work that takes time. But these are the things, like, I just think, like, the more I do this stuff, it's like, how is everyone not just spending their whole lives just focusing on this? Because this is the stuff, if we could just get this part right, so many of our problems are just gone, right? So many of the problems in the world are gone, because what most of our problems come down to is our relationships, is our getting on with people. And as we go, money, and we go, all of this other stuff, and I need all of this. And it's like, and this is what happens when I go into corporates. It's like people will want you to come in to sort out the system.
Yeah.
It's the system that's broken. It's always the system.
Yeah,
so when we talk about it, don't we? I can't believe I'm in England. It's the system. The system. I hear this all the time. And it's like you actually go in and you go, okay, we spend a little bit of time listening to the broken system. And then within not that long, it's kind of like, right, what's going on with the system of the relationships here? And we then focus, that's what gets focused in on. The thing is, once you can sort the personalities out, the system of that, then they can agree on the system. The system is much easier to fix systemically once the personality systems are sorted out. That other stuff can get done so much quicker than when you're trying to fix a system with broken relational systems. Yeah. Yeah. So this is like the more that we could start to take responsibility for our own shadow aspects of what we're doing is what's triggering us, and we're seeing it out there and we're getting annoyed. The world is going to change. And I want to really say this as well, and it's not just in a negative respect as well. And this is, something that we were speaking about earlier. It's also this part around when we fall in love with someone, it's the parts of us that we're falling in love with or that we like about ourselves. So it always comes back to us. So when I see something that I really admire in someone, or I'm really like, I'm in love with you, and I'm feeling, all of these emotions and this admiration, it's a part of us that we're relating with, that we may be blind to again. This is all of our blind spots. And people go, that can't be me because I really admire Elon Musk and he's a fucking billionaire or whatever it is and all of that. But it's usually someone that's of a similar kind of thinking to them. There's some similarities there. And it's always like, that's our potential. It may not be you, right? You may never have the billions or whatever, but there's something, you admire them because you admire that part in you. And you're maybe just disregarding it because we're a bit judgmental of ourselves and we don't, want to necessarily see all the good parts and be proud of ourselves and all the rest of it. But it's always ourselves that we're referencing. So whether we're getting triggered, in a good way or a bad way, it's always coming back to, and this is the question that I ask myself and I always get clients to ask, when you're feeling that emotion about something, good or bad, ask yourself, where is that me? Where am I maybe being a bit disrespectful in that moment? Yeah. Where am I actually doing really, really all right in life and I'm putting myself down a bit about it? Yeah. Why am I, I'm admiring them and I'm jealous of them, but where is that something within me that is actually there? It may not be on the same scale, but we've only got ourselves as a point of reference. So it can only be us that we're feeling, things for.
Wow. And do different personalities fall into different roles and different jobs and things like that? Because you said something when we first met today, you were like, I should have guessed you were a 3 because actually every podcast host I've ever met is a 3, and it was almost like it's a common role. And I guess it's just that, I don't know, that ambition to do something, to speak to people, to learn. Do people fall into certain roles?
Yeah. And that's what I love that, yeah. Because most people go, I'm boring because I'm an accountant. Or I'm this because I do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not that. It's you do what you do because of who you are.
Yeah.
So you don't become that because of your job. You do that job because of who you became in your childhood. Okay. So for definite. So like typically, stereotypically, a type 1 is a reformer. So the type 1s want to go out and change the world. They want everything to be right. They want everything to be in order. And so a typical job for a type 1 will be to be a lawyer, a judge. Yeah, they're strong judges, right? So that's the type 1. And it's to say as well, it's on. They want to go out and change and reform things because there's a deep belief within themselves that they themselves are imperfect. So it's like, I'm going to focus out there because of the deep imperfection. I feel. So again, it's the shadow aspect. Let's do out there rather than in here because we don't realise it's in there. The type 2, the helper. So a typical job might be to become a nurse, right? A carer. Yeah, that's what they do. So they're going to be good at that, right? The type 3, so we talked about the 3, the achiever. CEOs, right? CEOs, podcasters. Typical roles where it's all about achievement, right? So that business owners, I've got to keep going, keep achieving.
It was when I was reading about it, it was like, always keeping busy, always doing stuff. And, I was just like, okay, this does sound quite like me.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, you resonated with that. Yeah.
And I've definitely slowed down from that.
Yeah.
But certainly, 5 years ago or whatever, I was sometimes being busy, but I was always like, I was just rushing between stuff. And there was that little bit of a badge of honor because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I liked being busy like that.
What would happen if you weren't busy?
I'd probably have to deal with my own stuff,
What would it say about you to not be busy, to not be achieving?
That I'm not achieving, that I'm not doing the best I can. I was literally, if I'm awake, I should be trying to achieve something or make my life even better.
What would be like lying on the sofa for a day?
That's just lazy.
Totally.
But then part of that is almost like, who would beat me up more? Would it be that I'm beating myself up because I've laid on the sofa and be lazy? Or if someone else saw that I was on the sofa being lazy, that would be awful.
Who would need to see you lying on the sofa?
I don't know, just anyone that I've tried to obviously people please. Like like I say, I'm an achiever. I don't want to break that.
Yeah.
Well, but of course there are times when I'm sat on the sofa with my old joggers and just chilling out.
Is it all right to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is okay. Would it have been any different years ago?
No. But certainly sort of caught up. Certainly during those working hours, now I'm a bit more comfortable doing a slightly more flexible working day. I might work into the evening, but go to the gym and not get home till 9:30. But before it was like, if it was between 8 and 6, if I'm not sat at my laptop or in a meeting or rushing, then sort your life out. Why are you not working during that period of time?
Judgment.
And the judgment was me judging myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what they say for 3s is basically 3s, if they're not doing, they're not achieving, then they don't feel worthy.
Yeah.
So I'm not enough, I'm not worthy. Yeah, and I don't know whether this resonates at all, but so a typical story for a type 3 growing up would be that they were good at sport or good at school, something like that, looked a certain way, and they were very much praised on that. So they were very much praised on the self-image aspect. And they, because they got the love from that, that then carried on that, you can't be sitting around doing nothing because my praise is because I'm good at this and I've got to keep going and achieving. Yeah. Was that anything?
Yeah,
like that
no,
for you?
completely. It was funny. There was something in there about sort of being well dressed and things like that. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm the most well dressed, but the idea of going out in like an old pair of joggers, it just would. I wouldn't even walk up the local shops.
You wouldn't even now. You wouldn't go out. No.
Even though I happily wear them at home.
Yeah.
But I would change into jeans or chinos or something. Like I can't look too scruffy.
Yeah. I love it.
Bizarre, isn't it?
Well, it's completely normal, right? You know, and I think that's like where you know, living in Bondi, it's like that. Bondi's 3-7 heaven, right? It's where all the achievers and the enthusiasts. It's the place where to be seen, and it's you don't go out looking you don't go out looking
no.
So I get typed as a 3, even though my personality type is the 6 is the loyalist, but I would get 3'd a lot as well, and I get that, like my image wise, definitely. And my story, you know, that part of it around that is I was the pretty child, right? So that's the story. If you get the praise for the way you look, it's not only the achievements, but it's also the external. So, you know, in Bondi there's the Bondi outdoor gym, and people walk past and there's just got these fit, usually guys, right? Just the fittest of the fit, and everyone's like, oh, they really love themselves, they're just showing off, you know. That's obviously the stuff that you get. I've hung out there, right? I go and quiz them, and I know quite a few of the guys down there. And of course, just deeply insecure. Got the 3, you know, personality type. Got the achieve. Got praised a lot in their younger years for how they looked or what they did, and you know, they're still trying to perfect those bodies, even though they look perfect to everyone else walking past. And everyone just thinks, they love themselves, and there's just all ego, which it is, but not in a overly confident way, but actually on behalf of deep insecurity.
But they need it to have that. They need that little that's their
boost. Identity. Yeah. So big one.
I remember my therapist once challenging me on why I went to the gym.
Okay.
And maybe she was right, because even now I sort of say, no, it's for my mental health and that more than how I look.
Yeah.
But
bit of both.
Or
would one dominate the other?
I don't know. I would be terrified of letting myself go. Like, I need to keep up my body image. Like, I will keep going to the gym, look at because I need to keep myself looking like that. You know, is
it a bad thing though? Does it get?
No,
as in
I don't think
it would be bad if you lost it, kind of.
Yeah,
thing, but definitely the struggle.
It that I like to look like I look.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with that myself. I totally get it. Yeah.
So I think, you know, the gym's done for multiple reasons. One, health, fitness does make me feel good, but equally, I do like to do some heavy weights, because I know that's going to tone some muscles, which I know is a more attractive trait for, you know, although I'm not trying to attract anyone as such like that. I like it that, you know, maybe my arms look all right in a t-shirt.
Exactly.
You know, then that's just...
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the 3. I was saying, because how did we meet? We met when we worked in Faliraki.
Yeah.
That, again, it's like, you know, moving to Bondi was like my Faliraki. It's the same thing. It would have been similar personality types that would have, been drawn to doing that. Faliraki. It's that most people look good, right? It was the beautiful people and, the fun times.
Yeah. And even actually, you know, and I've been wondering more and more about DJing as what part I love about it. Now, I love music. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. I am really into the music. Yeah. But I'd never felt really comfortable sort of stand in nightclubs and things like that, sort of in a social aspect. Right. By putting myself in the DJ booth, I could enjoy the music. Wow. I also had like control of it. But I had lots of people looking up to me.
That's so interesting.
And I've only realised that you become a bit more of the centre of attention in that nightclub. You can be outgoing without, if I'm not in there, if I'm out in the crowd, you're like a nobody.
Yeah. Is that why you started DJing?
I don't know.
Oh, do you think it could be?
Maybe.
Yeah, wow. So you didn't like just being part of in the club?
No.
Really? You didn't enjoy it?
No.
Why?
just felt socially awkward.
Did it really?
Yeah, I didn't feel as good as everyone else. Everyone else looked better, could dance better, were just cooler.
Yeah.
But I couldn't compete on that level. Right. Like I didn't feel like I could be. But if I was in the DJ booth, suddenly,
did it change?
I think suddenly I'm like, well, I'm cooler than you. You might be.
Did you feel that?
Yeah,
yeah, you did.
Yeah. I was controlling that night. I was playing the music.
Wow.
And it's funny that, I understood that, and I still have a love for music. So it wasn't I was doing it, but I don't care about the music. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise I was getting that side out of it.
So interesting.
Until sort of recent years.
Really? That's that recently. Wow.
Yeah. I sort of think, actually, standing and being that side.
Yeah. So interesting, isn't it? Because to look at you, to have known you back then, there's not a memory of someone that was kind of that ego, that whole thing going on. You were definitely one of the kind of less showy, right?
Yeah,
But the intention obviously still
still less showy.
Yeah.
But that was the point. If I was out just in the crowd, become invisible.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to show off.
Yeah.
But I could put myself into a situation that automatically showed me off without me having to do anything.
Love that.
Yeah, I didn't have to be like dancing crazy hands in the air and being overly loud. But I was propped up slightly. Yeah. I was at the centre stage.
Love that.
And I was in control of the music.
So good.
So it puts you in there without having to be that. Yeah, because I'm probably not that massively showy offy type person.
But I guess DJs can be quite introverted actually. Now that I think about that, it's an interesting one. As I've been watching DJs more and more, some of them, because it's music, it's the love of the music, the art.
Yeah.
Is that for you? Is it?
Yeah, I do. I do love the music. I love the technology behind it. But a lot of DJs have always really sort of struggled with that, with their mental health because of the ups and downs. I've seen a lot of documentaries on DJs, especially touring DJs, who literally go from, and in fact pop stars as well to a certain extent.
But do you know where this goes? It goes back to, it's not the job, it's them that took themselves into that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of artists, so the type 4, the individualist, the artist, I see a lot of DJs as I watch them now, I'm like, oh yeah, there'll be a 4. And a lot of artists, singers and all the rest of it, type 4s, which is the individualist, that it's all about the art, and they struggle because they've got like this love of all of the creativity and the rest of it, but they're also got this part of them that is maybe a little bit more introverted. Quite big on addictions.
Quite a lot. Yeah, because you get left alone. Like, I mean, I've had it where I've DJ'd gigs, not so much travelling, but you go from, you're on stage, everyone's loving you, and then it's like your set finishes and you go backstage and you're on your own. Yeah, and then you drive home on your own. Liam Payne. Yeah. It's exactly the same. And you can see how... you go from those high to lows, and a lot of touring DJs I've said, and then they come home, but they're home on a Tuesday and a Wednesday daytime when none of their mates are about, so they don't see anyone. And then they're jet setting Thursday, Friday, Saturday, living what everyone thinks the most amazing life because they're up on stage, but then they're sat in a hotel room.
Exactly.
On their own.
But do you know what the interesting thing was? I get you on, like I was watching an interview with I can't remember which the other One Direction one.
Harry Styles or one? It's Liam and Niall. No. I don't.
I can't remember, his name's gone. Anyway, so I was watching an interview with him the other day, and so the whole Liam Payne thing, I was like, definitely, like I typed him as a 4, right?
Yeah.
Highs and lows, like the manicness, the different, and. I'll just say I remember one of the greatest interviews I watched while he was still alive, probably a couple of years before, was the one he did with Stephen Bartlett. He's a billionaire, right? He's billions and he just sat there and like obviously doing all this work. I get all this stuff anyway, but I just love it when you hear someone with that much money, all of that, and they just go, the thing that lights me up the most in my life is going for a run in Hyde Park and watching the sunrise. Yeah. And everyone's there going, oh, they're billionaires, they've got all this money. Fucking sunrise, the thing that we've all got availability to, and just hearing that, and then obviously he died a couple of years after that interview. Anyway, Stephen Bartlett was then interviewing the other one that I can't remember his name, and they were talking exactly about that and how Liam had spoken to Stephen Bartlett, and I'd watched it about the hotel rooms and the mini bars and all of the suffering, and the guy that was being interviewed by Stephen Bartlett this time was like, wasn't my experience. So even though, again, it's like the family, but the environment's the same.
Yeah.
We're in the same environment. We're touring. We've got all this. But he's going back to his hotel room with different demons, or not the same demons as Liam's got. So he's not having the same experience of the hotel room and the minibar and all of that stuff. So it's like the environment only impacts us to a certain extent. The environment of us, of our personality type, of all of that stuff running in there is the biggest thing. And we, of course, we blame the environment. And this is said with
people say you're a product of your environment, but it maybe only impacts.
Well, it's kind of like we're a product of it as we program ourselves in our early years of it.
Yeah.
But then we're the environment that we're programmed by the age of 7.
Yeah.
So actually, after that, the external environment, in theory, does have an impact. I'm not saying that it doesn't. Like, I know the difference between being in England and being on the beach in Bondi, right? I know but I know how I influence my own environment in the face of those the differences, right? Bondi Beach compared to London, I'm talking to myself much differently. So it is really my internal environment. It's not, if I just sat there and looked at London and the rain and the grey skies and didn't have any thoughts about it, there'd be no problem. The same as if I went back to Bondi and just looked at the beach and had no thoughts about it, my state would be the same.
Yeah.
So it's still my environment that is impacted by and I'm saying this compassionately, I'm not to say the grey skies versus the blue, but it is still me making meaning of the grey skies and the rain and not just perceiving it. I'm judging it and I'm watching, and I'm then creating my own depression about, the state of it. And then I'm going back to Bondi and I'm looking at all of this beauty and I'm making new meaning, right? So then my state is different, not based on what I'm actually just perceiving and watching and seeing, but based on the meaning that I'm making internally about what I'm seeing. So it's, we are a product of our internal environment based on the environment that we grew up in our years. So
cool. I mean, it's incredible, and I certainly want to learn more about my personality and unpick those little things, like I say with the DJing thing, sort of learning about that has been a real, and I still DJ a bit, and I do it for the love of the music and things like that. But understanding why I put myself in that situation.
Yeah. And I think the interesting part about it is it's not that we didn't know it back then. It's just that we've forgotten it by now. Because back then, you've made some decisions to do something, probably based on that. Now you're trying to remember why you did it. But back then, you would have known why you were doing it, even if it was just really in your subtle, it wasn't really at your front of your consciousness. There's something in there that's telling you to do it, to be up there, to get out the crowd, to be seen up there.
Yeah.
So you knew that back then. It's the same as when we're kids. When we're forming these personality types and all of these programs that we've got, we are forming them based on trying to get love.
Yeah.
So if I'm the people-pleasing child, that's getting me love. If I'm the clever child, type 5 investigator, clever children, go straight to their rooms, do their homework, don't be a bother to anyone, go and learn about, all of this stuff. And they're getting potential praise for that. They're doing really well at school, or their parents are just happy that they're going to their bedroom, right? They're getting so we're taking these childhood messages in. We're not just programming. We are taking these messages in and we are going, okay, I'm taking that one or I'm not taking that one. I'm choosing to be like my mum, or I'm choosing to go the other way, match her or mismatch her, or my dad. Do I want to get love by being more like them, or is it going to protect me more to not be like them, to be defiant? So we were talking earlier about the kind of the people pleasing and all the rest of it. There's the opposite of that as well. Not everyone is trying to please people. Some people are purposely being defiant and going the other way because maybe they want to be seen and understood through difference, not through sameness. They want to create something, so then they're getting attention through, and it's not that comfortable because people are getting annoyed and I'm being disagreeable, but I can't help it. But at the same time, it's still getting me seen and heard in some way.
It's funny because I can see how things can change. Exactly like you said, that perception. So if I tell you about the DJing, we come back sort of maybe 5 years ago, I was then struggling to DJ because by putting myself out there, someone might not like what I'm playing, what I'm doing. And then I'd be like, the pressure I felt DJing some events, it got so much that I couldn't do it.
Really? Yeah. This was 5 years ago?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, maybe just after COVID or before. I just realised, I remember driving to gigs and just feeling so much pressure that what if someone doesn't like the job that I'm doing?
And you never used to feel that before?
No, nowhere near in that same extent. You'd always feel a bit of pressure. You want everyone to have a good time, but not.
It was really.
And I hadn't necessarily had a bad experience. I haven't had a job where, got totally slated on there was none of that. It was purely internal that I'd put this pressure on that I just wanted to make sure everyone was having a good time. And over the last couple of years, I've managed to reprogram it and of understanding that actually I'm not necessarily responsible for that they're enjoying themselves or not. I can do what I can do. I'll play the music that works and people want to hear. Whether they enjoy themselves or not is sort of down to them.
What do you think it was, though, that changed?
I don't know.
Was it something to do with COVID?
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, COVID definitely affected me, that sort of being more locked away. I really, struggled coming out after that. I think it was just, a combination of that. But leading up to that, I remember, even doing like a festival set, I was like, I came off, I thought I was going to be physically sick afterwards.
Afterwards?
Yeah.
So you were in your head a lot during the set?
Massively. And
were you watching people and getting reaction, like picking it?
Just over, again, probably micro interactions from other people. Like I'd see it at DJing some event, there might be loads of people dancing. If I see someone at the back, so I just give a little eye and like shake a head, it could be something completely, but I'd be like, oh, they haven't enjoyed me playing this song. And then I'd be worried about pleasing them. Although there's all these people enjoying themselves.
Typical us, And
it...
wow.
Yeah, but trying to discover that for myself and then just calm myself down that actually I'm not responsible for everyone's happiness. Just do the job that I can do. And I've been doing it 20 odd years. I know I can do it.
Yeah, well, it's not about the job, right?
No.
Yeah. It's not about it's not about what's going on in that moment and whatever else is. And that's the thing, as you say, it's like, if we're in lockdown and we're processing a lot and there's a lot going on in there, the programs, the personality programs of the mind that are playing out there, they're going to take themselves into environments where we were really comfortable before. But it doesn't matter about the environment or the job or whatever it is we're doing. It matters about the programs that are, really at the forefront that are going to be impacting us in those moments. So, as you say, reprogramming the programs. Yeah.
Anita, thank you so much for talking to me today about all of that. I mean, just to finish off, what would be if someone wants to try and understand a little bit more about themselves, because there are some online tests and things like that. We'll put maybe a link to one below. Is that
send me a DM? DM me, because what I like to do whenever I get anyone to take it as well, if they don't mind, I quite like to see their result as well, like we did. And then, because what can happen is sometimes if we're going blindly along on our own, we might just take it. We might mistype, we might not understand it. There's all sorts of things. So if people are comfortable, DM me, I'll send you a link to it. And then you can send me your screenshot of your pie chart. I can sort of analyse it as well and send them some stuff back. So please, get in touch and love to speak to anyone about it. And always up for a free session if anyone wants to get in touch and do the test. I'd love to do it.
Love it. Anita, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on third time, Matt. Cheers. Thank you.